Yearning's Edge. This is a real skills workshop. Why? Well, I watched some people, they were navigating this um, edge along the top of a ridge with their mountain bikes. Now, I do not have that skill.
Or that yearning.
And I actually don't have that yearning, but I yearn for that sense of spaciousness and the beautiful vista and how much you can see the world differently from altitude. So there's an edge. There's an edge with our yearning. Some of it is, oh, I yearn for that experience or yearn for that. And there's some skills that are a part of it. Some are physical skills, but a lot of them are emotional skills. Yearnings guide when we're in a place of yearning and we're using that as activation energy, it can guide us to the physical skills, the emotional skills, the relational skills, the financial skills, the clarity skills that can really make a difference in our thriving now and onwards. But you know what? Yearnings can cut too, can't they, Kathy?
They really can. They can debilitate, they can overwhelm, they can hurt when we have them. And I think sometimes I notice myself kind of dampening or tuning out the signals from my system when I want something that feels like I won't get it. Like it hurts to want something and have the belief that I can't achieve it. So that can be very painful. At times, especially when we have that belief, that strong belief, like I really want it. Like if we really tune into ourselves, like I really want something, but I don't think the universe will let me have it. I don't think I can achieve that. It just the pain of that is deep and it can really stop us in our tracks. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think our systems like to face that because mixed into that, at least for me, and I think for a lot of other people, is maybe I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. Other people get things I don't. There's like a lot of painful like stories we tell ourselves mixed in with that. I want this thing, but I'm not getting it. I haven't, it's not coming to me. Even if I'm making effort towards it, it's just like feels elusive. Unless it's hard to look at that. It's hard to be with that. And I think it's often because we've entangled it with stories. We've conflated two different things, my worthiness and my ability to get this thing. Maybe I just am not getting this thing and I'm perfectly worthy and still a good person. And I don't think many of us are raised that way.
Mm-hmm. I'm Rick from Thriving Now. This is Kathy from Thriving Now and the Intimacy Dojo. And today we're going to be touching on this. And I want to put yearning in a context as perhaps one of the most natural energies that rises. You see this in children. My my 4 year and 3/4 year old, four and
It's
three
very
quarters,
specific.
had a yearning to be a monkey bar monkey and to be able to do it really well. And we've been taking micro steps by micro steps for years now. And the other day we were at the playground and she waited her turn. She hopped up there and she, at 4 and 3/4, was doing the monkey bars better than a lot of other kids who are older. And, you know, they, her yearning drove her to learn how to grip and develop that physical strength, the skill of how to swing, which a lot of the kids that couldn't do it, even if they're older, they just didn't have that skill, but she'd been practicing it and developing
To
it.
the point of blisters. Like we were like, Adira, maybe you should stop because your hands are getting hot and blistering. And she's like, no, I'm going to do more. Like she had a very strong yearning for that.
Yeah. I remember times though where her yearning had an edge,
Mhm.
where she just couldn't do it or couldn't do it again. And when she landed, instead of landing firmly and confidently, um, she landed in disappointment. And when she landed in disappointment, you could tell like she'd hit the ground harder. She stops and doesn't make it a lot of times, but when she's not in that edge of yearning, the sharp cutting edge of yearning, she might land and fall over, but she's like, I'm okay. Do you see the
You're like,
difference? Right. And so I've definitely not taught her the disappointment engine. That's the edge. That's an edge in yearning, but she inherited it from me, from what I could tell. Because when she gets that edge of disappointment, it goes to what? Shut down. I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to, I'm more of I'll never be able to, but she's more of the shutdown of I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to ask. I'm never going to play with you again. I'm never going to come here again. You see that? Now, if we can look at a 4 and 3/4 year old who, if you've been a subscriber, you've gotten to know Adira since she was, a belly baby.
you should
Um,
scroll down to the bottom of the newsletter to see the picture of a
what's going on there? What's going on there? And in her, I recognize me, and that there is in that edge, the disappointment is trying to protect me. The disappointment is saying, uh, unless you really want this, unless this really is core to you, we'll shut down and preserve our energy. Now that recognition says, hey, there's a there's an edge of disappointment. Um, there's an edge in yearning that can lead us into disappointment. There's a further edge which can leave us. And whoever's doing the thumbs up, if you could um, hold off on those reactions. They come across the screen. Thanks. Um,
We love the reactions.
yeah, you can put it in the chat. Um, there's this place where, guess what? I actually shut down. And when we go from a yearning that's really core to us to a shutdown, part of it also affects every other yearning. And there's a carryover.
I think one of the core things about that, though, is our society in general, and so many of us were not taught how to deal with disappointment.
Yeah.
We were taught that disappointment means we're a failure, we're bad, we're wrong. Like, we should
Not
just
safe.
never, yeah, don't go there ever again. You were too stupid to even try. Like, I'll tell them, this is words less, like, what was I even thinking of trying? Why was I even trying? Like, what an idiot I am. I should have known better. And like, I may feel disappointed.
That's pretty shutdown language, isn't it?
Can we do some tapping on that?
Yeah, we use EFT tapping as one of our tools in our skill toolbox. So when something comes up that's alive for you, that's an edge that cuts rather than an edge that, at the vista, we do some tapping. And this is, we're going to, Kathy, if you'll lead it, these shutdown languages that you use. So if you have a yearning for something, and maybe your language is about, the shutdown of being stupid or unwise or worse, um, tune into for a moment before we do the tapping. What is it for you? You may have a whole palette of criticisms. I do. I've tapped on them. I continue to tap on them if they happen to come up. Um, what's yours?
You're welcome to change the language as we tap too. So if I say something that doesn't match for you, just go ahead and shift it. I think that a lot of us have learned these from our parents or our caregivers. My mom does not handle other people's pain very well. So I remember even little things like I would stub my toe and she'd be like, "You should have been wearing slippers. I told you to wear slippers and it wouldn't have hurt." And I'm like, "Slippers would I would have still hurt my toe." But she wanted there to be an out for every, like, I think she, in her mind, if she was a good mother, no one would ever get hurt. Like, she helped us enough. I think it didn't come from maliciousness, but she didn't want to see us hurt. So she taught us, oh, you should know that you couldn't do that. Or, why did you try? Like, if you, that would, because she didn't want to see us in pain. So I learned it from her a lot. And again, I don't think she meant it maliciously, but it wasn't very empowering either. So I invite you to just take a nice, gentle breath and notice where you are if you can. We shift better when we're in a state of calmness and groundedness when we know we're safe. If we feel threatened, our primitive brain is reactive and it's much harder to shift our beliefs. So I invite you, if you want to look around the room and notice that you hopefully you're all in a safe space, you're comfortable, you're here in this circle with us. So just notice that, notice you're safe, breathe into your body, notice the chair or whatever you're sitting on, you're supported. And one of the things we want to do is we want to be with the pain, but we also want to be with reality and safety at the same time. And that's a trick to do. A lot of this is very intense, and it's very easy to tip into the cup of everything's bad. But or we can bring ourselves back to, oh, both are true. I am safe right now, and I have some beliefs and fears and pains. That balancing point is very powerful and can help our brain shift these patterns a lot more effectively. So another nice deep breath. Karate chop, even though I don't handle disappointment well,
Even though I don't handle disappointment well,
I tell myself all kinds of stories.
I tell myself all kinds of stories.
I wonder if they're all true.
I wonder if they're all true.
Part of me wants to believe them.
Part of me wants to believe them.
They're a good solution in a way.
They're a good solution in a way,
But not a very powerful one.
but not a very powerful one.
Top of that, they really do shut down the disappointment.
They really do shut down the disappointment
By making me feel terrible about myself.
by making me feel terrible about myself.
Saturday,
Well,
appendicitis will always cure a toothache.
appendicitis will always cure toothache,
Under that, or at least distract you from it.
or at least distract you from it.
Under the nose, I'm hurting myself worse by shutting down my disappointment.
I'm hurting myself worse by shutting down my disappointment.
Chin, I tell myself I'm stupid for wanting something.
I tell myself I'm stupid for wanting something,
Collarbone, I should have known better.
and I should have known better.
And again, what was I thinking?
I must not be thinking.
Top of the head, who am I to want that?
Who am I to want that?
Eyebrow, I never get the things I really want.
I never get the things I really want.
Side of the eye, none of those statements are true.
But none of those statements are true.
Under the eye, and I'd like to release them.
And I'd like to release them.
Under the nose, what if I could just be with my disappointment?
What if I could just be with my disappointment?
Chin, just notice that I am disappointed.
Just notice that I am disappointed.
Collarbone, and I'm still okay.
And I'm still okay.
Under the arm, I can actually handle being disappointed.
I can actually handle being disappointed.
Top of the head, it's actually a signal to dig deeper,
And it may be a signal to dig deeper,
which might be really brilliant.
and which might be really brilliant.
I invite you to take a breath. My thought on this, and I'm actually started writing a book, I haven't finished it on this, that there's a gift in disappointment. A lot of us shut it down. We don't want to feel disappointment, so we blame ourselves or blame other people or, get in a loop. We get away from the disappointment, but disappointment indicates we didn't get something that we want. And I go back to the original definition of sin is off the mark. To sin is to be off the mark. We haven't aimed true yet. So disappointment means that we haven't gotten to what we want. And if we dig down deeper, say I have a good friend that I haven't seen in a while. I really want to have lunch with Reed. I really want to spend time with him. I'm feeling disappointed. He's in Europe. I can't see him. He's very busy. And I can get caught up in that person and that one experience that my mind paints a picture of as a specific restaurant. We're eating food. We're having a great time. The weather's lovely. All those things that we kind of subconsciously attach to it. And the truth is, he's a wonderful person, but he can be a pain in the butt sometimes. Like if I had lunch with him, it doesn't necessarily look like what I'm picturing. So I could be very disappointed even if I had lunch with him right now. But if I dig down in the experience, oh, I was just spent a week and a half with Rick and the kids and Jem and felt very connected. Oh, I'm missing that connection. I'm missing turning around and having a 4 and 3/4 year old cuddle me and ask me to please like let her watch Elsa on my computer. Um, there's like I'm missing that kind of day-to-day connection. Okay, what can I do to create that? It can't be Reed. He's in Europe. I can't go back to Asheville right now. I actually have to show up at work in San Jose. So I do have some friends that are not quite as close, that are close, and I could live nearby and I could ask them for lunch. So I could have some of that connection that I want. I can get on Zoom with the kids and the family. There's things I can, if I dig deeper, that disappointment, that wanting, that yearning is pointing to something. I may not be able to get specifically what my brain is making up, but it's actually there's some kind of wanting in my system. And if I can be with the disappointment and just dig a little deeper, if I'm not just shutting myself down immediately, I can find out what it is that I can create that is valid for me, what's accessible to me. And that helps me feel more empowered. Yeah, I can't have lunch with Reed or with Rick, but I can get on Zoom with them, or I could, call some other friends that might fit some of that need. So I don't know if that did I explain that clearly?
Yeah, very much. I think that that's an experience that everyone I know has had that experience where we get locked in. And yearning's edge, there's the negative edge of yearning where it cuts us and causes some pain. Um, but there's also the edge of yearning which can cut through. It can cut through the noise. And this for me is a skill that I've been practicing consciously because I need it so much. So if there's an unwanted reality or something like what Kathy was describing, if I name the yearning, I yearn for deep, warm connection. I have a profound yearning for deep, warm connections of many flavors. Okay. Now, maybe if you're empathetic, you could just feel what happened inside my energy as soon as I stated that and tuned it. Like, that's absolutely true. I have, I have a yearning for deep, warm connection, engagement of all kinds. Now, as soon as I'm in touch with the yearning, I see some friendly faces and names on this. You all have been kin with me in this deep, warm connection. We cross oceans to connect with one another. I'm getting tingles now. Now, I could have used the other edge of yearning. I really wish that Kathy was a zip line ride away at the house that's for sale across the street. Like, it hurts. It hurts that that's not our reality. And maybe you can feel that in yourself where and that's where the emotional freedom skill is to be able to hold both. Like the yearning would love to express itself this way and this way and this way. Ouch. And the yearning itself is sacred. It is something that's innate. It rises, it falls. Sometimes it falls away, and other yearnings rise as well. Um, but this is at least an aspect of the skill is to get down by yourself or with help of a friend or someone, a coach, even an AI. Like, hey, what is it that I'm actually yearning here? Here's the situation. What are some of the emotional states are different than like the having lunch is an experience. As Kathy says, having lunch can go
Yeah, you
can
don't
go in a
know.
lot of different directions,
The person can be in a bad mood. Or
right? Kind of like a hike with the kids. Um, go a lot of different
carrying his
directions.
last mile uphill, Dad.
Yeah, go a lot of different directions. Um, if I think about that, like emotionally, I get a little flummoxed. But if my yearning, my more pure natural yearning is, I love being physical in nature with those I love, and that includes my kids, my partner, anyone. I've talked to some of you like, yeah, if we lived next door, we'd be going for walks together. A walk and talk with you would be amazing. Now, as I think about that person, I start getting a little teary again because yearning often has, when it lands on something that can't happen in reality, um, we can have an emotional reaction. I could be shut down, like, look, it's never going to happen. And blah, blah, blah. Well, that unfortunately would carry with it a lot of the yearning about being in nature and physically alive
My
and
association
savoring.
gets cut down.
Yeah, when we shut down something, um, and shut down is different than redirecting.
Mhm.
Redirecting the energy is, as Kathy said, finding ways that, you know, I could have connection, loving connection, warm connection with that person. No, it's not the same as Adira, but it it would be nice. It's a different flavor. Adult connection over lunch. Do you see? And that's why I call it a skill. I Some people do that naturally, but I not the way I was wired and trained. That
Well, I think
other
like
kind of natural redirection is not. I'm trying to. I am practicing this the best I can with the humans that are in my world, including you all, and definitely myself. But it's not a trivial kind of thing. It
I don't
takes
think
some.
it's modeled. Our commercialism, like the magazines and TV we watch, they point to a specific thing. You want to be popular and have white teeth and have everybody fawning on you and the center of everything, and you're wealthy and smart and every. They point to very particular things. They don't say, "Oh, if you don't like this deodorant, you should buy this other kind," or anything like that. It's like, no, this specific thing. So I think it's very modeled for us. And Rick, you said in your newsletter, and I think you said some here too. Yearning is part of our life force. If we stop yearning, all of us have met people, I imagine, that are very depressed and shut down and don't like, I don't care, whatever you want. And I don't think that's a natural expression. I think it's something that can happen, but they probably have learned to not want things. And I hope it's not too gruesome, but Pavlov's dogs, there was a second experiment. So the first experiment, he rang a bell every time they ate, and they learned if they heard the bell that food was coming, they would start salivating even if the food wasn't there. They ran a second experiment where they gave them an electric shock every time they ate. And very quickly they stopped wanting food and they just laid down and just kind of gave up. And I think we're seeing people like that in our lives that have been taught just to give up, that the yearning is so painful. If you're not taught the skill or have no models for dealing with disappointment, it's like getting an electric shock to your system. That disappointment is like, my nervous system does not know what to do with this feeling. I am overwhelmed and I'm going to either beat myself up or shut down or, or panic. A lot of, I've seen people panic when they don't get what they want. I've been there so more times than I like to admit. But there's that feeling of, oh my God, I'm not going to survive this. And that it becomes a traumatic
Could you
experience.
leave some tapping on the, oh my God, I'm not going to survive this,
Yeah.
survive not getting this?
Yeah.
Mm.
Again, invite you to take a nice deep breath. I put in earlier if you start getting overwhelmed, we have grounding exercises that can help bring you back to help ground your nervous system. thrivingnow.com/grounding. If you need those, karate chop. Even though I'm feeling disappointed
No, I am feeling disappointed.
and my nervous system thinks I'm going to die
And part of my nervous system thinks I'm going to die
because I'm not getting something I think I need.
because I'm not getting something I think I need.
And I have not learned to digest this emotion.
And I have not learned how to digest this emotion. Mm.
Top of that, disappointment feels lethal.
Yeah. The disappointment feels lethal.
Eyebrow, I think I'm going to die.
I think I'm going to die.
Side of the eye, I must get this thing.
I must get this thing or else.
Under the eye, or I'll have to shut everything down.
or I'll have to shut everything down. Huh.
Under the nose, I'm going into a freeze response.
There I am going into a freeze response again.
I can't fight or flee from this disappointment.
I can't fight or flee from this disappointment.
Collarbone, so I'll just shut myself down.
I'll just shut myself down.
Under the arm, that's really tough.
And that's really tough.
Top of the head, what if I could learn to tolerate disappointment?
What if I could learn to tolerate disappointment?
And just leave that question floating around. Take a breath. One of the things I've been digging deeply into is learning how to tolerate things that I thought I could never tolerate. And it's literally sometimes it's like I'm going to step into it for a split second, not even a full second, and back off. And then I just kind of be with the after effects of that and just kind of again, a little bit later, step into it. And it really helps to have support, especially if you're dealing with something your nervous system associates with a lot of danger. But if you think about it, disappointment and like trauma are pretty closely related. It's just depth of feeling. Trauma means I think there's something I'm going to be through. There's something that I need or have to do or has to happen for me to survive, and I can't make it happen. Disappointment is closely related to that.
Yeah.
And trauma, we can run away from it, we can fight it, or we can freeze. We can also fawn, but that doesn't work very well in disappointment that I've noticed. I'm curious if anyone thinks differently.
Oh, I watch my two little imps. Uh, Fawning is like, please, please, please. Like behind
They're
that
trying to get it,
is,
but they
and
haven't
when they
given up.
don't get that, then you see the real disappointment behind it. Um,
4 and 3/4 years old can throw good temper tantrums. It's
and,
impressive.
and and yeah, it applies to me too. And and I honor that we're getting together to touch on really deep human experiences, and that um, it's been uncomfortable to notice a yearning and notice how by default I'll get fixated on a thing or a picture of an experience, and how sticky that is. Um, how much it can feel like I it can go from a yearning and become a bitterness, and it can become a compulsion. I have to have it. You all know me. If if a have to or could or should rises in me, I've learned that that's a clue. It means my primitive brain is in charge right now. And what has been working better is to acknowledge the primitive brain where I feel it in my body, and to give it a bit of a direction. Like, what is my true yearning here? What is my true yearning here? Just by asking that. And this is how I might tap, even though I yearn for that.
Even though I yearn for that,
And I'm putting so much energy toward it.
I'm putting so much energy toward it.
There must be something important here for me.
There must be something important here for me.
I wonder what my true yearning is.
I wonder what my true yearning is.
Even though this is becoming bitter,
Even though this is becoming bitter,
there's an edge of compulsion now.
so there's an edge of compulsion now.
Ah, and it's so frustrating I don't have it.
It's so frustrating I don't have it.
What is my true yearning here?
What is my true yearning here?
Top of the head. It's not the thing.
It's not the thing.
Eyebrow. It's probably not the thing.
It's probably not the thing.
Side of the eye. But there's something here
But there's something here.
under the eye. There's some yearning here,
There's some yearning here.
something that matters to me.
Something that matters to me.
I at least want to know what that is
I at least want to know what that is.
so I can rest there.
So I can rest there.
I may still want that thing,
I may still want that thing,
but I'd like to be very clear about the yearning.
but I'd like to be very clear about the yearning.
Take a deep breath. Now, I used a very generic example. That's the approach I use. Um, I really want a self-driving Tesla Model Y. I actually want the six-passenger version, which is only produced in China, which adds an additional level of bitterness and whatever to it, right? And I have I am following about 20 different accounts on X that post about this vehicle, show it in different custom colors. All can you see that there's an edge of now, if I'm clear about the yearning, it's I'm often the driver for my family, and when I'm driving, I take the I yearn to be a responsible driver on the road, one that's aware of what's going on in all directions. I really do. And I want to deliver my family safely and myself to our destination. And I have a yearning to be able to go, look at that horse. Isn't it the most beautiful thing? I can't do that. I can't turn my whole body and take my eye off the road. I can't do that. That wouldn't be safe. So my yearning is to be able, for all of us, to be able to talk and point and do other things while we're traveling from place to place. For me to be able to take in the beauty of our mountains and everything else, rather than being the sole responsible person for navigating a multi-ton vehicle around tight turns on a mountain highway or mountain parkway. Now, when I land on that, there's still a yearning, and I can feel that the yearning hasn't ripened to be like manifest. It doesn't actually even exist in my world. The reality is that I can't actually go get that. And it's not approved for me to take my full attention off. It's still supervised full self-driving, but it won't be. Eventually, there will be a way for me to have that and and be driven from place to place by technology that's twice as good a driver or 10 times as good a driver. Right now, that's not where we are.
Yet.
I still now love seeing this beautiful technology evolve much better. There's still a bit of an edge. I'm still tending to the edge because I'm an impatient technologist too. That's a different part of it. Um, that's a yearning I haven't tapped on yet. But do you see how when you start getting compulsively fixated on something, if you drop back down into what really matters to me here, what's the source of this yearning that really matters, that doesn't, it's not ephemeral, it's it's in me. And when we do that, um, the vista opens up in a different way. And again, I tapped on, even though I'm obsessed with getting this, and I'm really, I'm past the point of being silly, right? Like, how many times should you run through the financial calculator and realize you can't afford it? Like, how many times, you know? After a dozen, I'd collected a dozen. Oh, there's a new interest rate, blah, 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 right? But I haven't done that since we scheduled this workshop, and I used that yearning as an example. But I tapped it about five or six different things until I really got back to, oh, there's something about being the driver that disconnects me from the people that are in the car because my responsibility to their safety, it is paramount. So the yearning is to have safety for my family, and the yearning is to be able to travel from place to place and really be connected. What was interesting here is that it also pointed out why I don't like flying with the family as much, because it's really hard to talk in a loud airplane. It's really hard to have an intimate conversation when other people are hearing. And with four people in the family, we can't even sit like all together. Isn't that interesting?
Mhm.
So this is where yearning's edge can cut through some of the things like, oh, okay, that's one of the aspects of flying which makes it not very juicy to me.
Well, you're getting clarity about yourself, which knowledge about yourself is powerful. And I just want to give kind of an overview of what we're talking about. We were talking about shutdown,
Yeah.
and we're talking about yearning. So shutdown is one side of the one extreme. Like I can't ever get what I want. I'm just going to give up on wanting. The other side is that compulsion. And it's very choppy. Like I think of giving up as kind of sinking to the bottom of the ocean. You're just like, I'm not going to try to swim at all. um, when we're on the surface of the ocean, it can be very choppy. That's where like kind of where that compulsion. I've got to have that. If I just get that promotion at work, I will be safe. My family will be safe. Nothing bad's gonna. We often make up stories. Rick is making up a story to a certain extent that if he had this Model Y six seater, that everyone would be connected and lovely. And it's not
Yes.
true because I've been with his family and I've been with other families. Like you're not always connected and having a good conversation. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm going to dump you on the side of the road and leave. Um, so the compulsion is like the opposite side of it, where we're like, we often weave in stories like I was making up that lunch would be perfectly connected and lovely, and then I would get what I need. When the odds are, maybe 50-50, maybe less, maybe more, but we create stories. If I got that raise, if I lost 30 pounds, if I looked a certain way, or if that person liked me, my life would be different. And we attach things that are not part of reality. We don't even realize we're doing it. Our subconscious is helping us do it. So if
Yeah.
you notice something, like a very strong compulsion to get something, and I think that takes self-awareness to notice the difference between I really want this thing and I'm willing to work towards it, and a compulsion where I have to get this. Like, if it's not oxygen, food, or shelter, or some love in your life, like it's probably a compulsion. It's like I must get this thing to be safe, and that's very, as Rick said earlier, it's very primitive brain. Our primitive brain likes black and white thinking. It likes to, if I achieve this thing, then I'll be safe. If I get this thing, then I'll be loved. And it's not actually true. If we can be with the yearning and the possibility of disappointment, we can start getting clarity. But many of us have been taught, I'm going to run from the feeling of yearning. I'm going to run from the feeling of disappointment. So we're never still with it long enough. I love meditation for that, but even just quiet contemplation, writing out, what do I think this would actually look like? Is this real? Is this likely that if I win the Nobel Peace Prize, I will suddenly be completely happy in my life? No, it's not even very likely that I'd be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. So maybe I should find something. What is it about that I want, if that's something I want? What is it that, I want to be recognized for what I did? By recognizing myself? Am I asking my friends to help appreciate me? Am I allowing it in? There might be a lot of different things going on. But we want to find a balance between I'm going to shut down because I'm never going to get this thing, and I'm going to be compulsive and try to make it happen no matter what. To like, oh, can I be with this? I notice when I'm in a balanced place, there's room for negotiation, navigation, things shifting. When I'm in compulsion, it must look like just like that. When I'm shut down, I have no energy to even try to get it. So just to kind of give a 3,000 foot view of what we're talking about.
Mm. And when we recognize it in ourselves, we start seeing it in our children and in the world. And we can we can often imagine or guess, even with people that can't articulate what's alive for them, what's a um, what's a yearning that they have, and we get to know people that are close to us, And we can start um, mapping out the yearnings. I believe it's a very intimate thing to understand what actually brings someone that we care about alive, what their deep yearnings. Um, and when we can speak to that, if someone says to me, I I know you, Rick, you yearn for exploring like the technology that's going to change us. It's what when I saw EFT tapping and I used it on myself and I tried it with a couple of my massage clients, I was like, this is emotional technology. This could change how we navigate emotional landscapes, I came to understand how much it can heal a trauma or, or recalibrate a limiting belief that stops us, that shuts us down. Um, I've come to certainly appreciate that tapping, like any technology, doesn't guarantee, doesn't solve everything, but it's certainly useful. So if you knew that I love technologies that are useful, it's probably not a surprise that I have my own AI that's tuned to what we've shared in these workshops and the courses that we've done and in our and other things. Um, it now has almost 2 million words that that AI can tap into in a 10-word response. Like that's interesting, right? To me, I have a yearning to make things accessible and useful to anyone.
And you made
And
Gus, the AI he made, is actually free and available to anyone who wants to.
yeah, thrivingnow.com/Gus is the shortcut to go there and you can explore. Now, because it's a yearning, it's active in the work that I do that matters. And if we look at the positive aspect of yearning's edge, it can cut through like all technology is got an edge, right? It doesn't
Will
work.
it work for me? Will it work right now? Is it going to change
Zoom's
my
working
life?
right now. You know, no red marks, no fallouts, no dropouts. That could change in a minute. But if I'm clear that the yearning is, I want to have workshops that people around the world can attend that can also be done on a replay basis for people that are asleep right now. Um, isn't it amazing? And if I come back to that yearning, then it also helps the energy of the frustrations and it's not there yet and it's not the way I want it to be. It can cut through the noise so that at least the part of me that's more present with, well, what's the yearning that drives this? If I ask someone who wants to start a business, I say, well, what's the yearning that drives it? And they say, well, I I want to make a lot of money. Okay. Uh, that can drive someone, but that's not the same as inspiring someone or fueling someone. And you can go like, oh, I want to make more money. Okay. What would that do for you? And this is kind of standard personal growth stuff is, well, why does that matter to you?
Now, why do you want that?
Yeah. I yearn for freedom of choice, like to be able to have optionality that feels good and sufficient for thriving. I'm quite aware that there's a baseline for everyone, depending on what they need. Where if you're below that line, it's very stressful. Um, Money doesn't solve everything, but it solves money problems. But the action, when people get stuck and or compulsive about money, either budgeting it or making it, they get shut down. It's like, this will never happen. I am not someone that is lucky with money or that money comes to. Getting clearer about the yearning can reconnect us with actions. You know, if someone wants to build a business, they want to build a family, being clear about the yearnings that it meets. Um, I have a yearning to be useful. I was born with it. I can feel it in my little baby self, right? There's a part of me that just knows that me goo goo gagaing up at my mama when she was all stressed and strained for good reason in her marriage. Um, you know, it it wasn't survival. It's like, oh, I like making people happy. I like, relieving pain. I like doing that. And when we each get clear on what it is that is a yearning that gets action from us, inspired action from us, those are touch points that we can go back to. And that becomes not just the neutral ground, but the fertile ground. When we first started tapping, we talked about getting to okay and getting to neutral. Even though I'm angry and rageful and vengeful, I've decided to be okay with what is, even though I hate them and they're a pain in my neck. I feel it in my butt. Um, we tried to get to neutral, which is a good bedrock. That's good practices. The work we're doing with these skilled workshops is what's my fertile ground that allows other things to grow from it. A thriving ecosystem with love and resources, abundance, um,
But
experiences like lunch with beloved people.
well, I think one of the things it's important to drop into the why. What do we want to get? Because a lot of us would love more money. Like we've done a number of courses on abundance, and we totally support that for people. But if we know why we want to get it, that means, oh, like I really want to get it so I can have great experiences and support people I love and feel secure in the world. That means I'm not going to feel comfortable getting it by means that are manipulative or cruel to other people. So like when back when I was first working with Rick 18 years ago, I wanted to study marketing to learn how to reach more people. And the first couple courses I took were very pain marketing focused, and I just felt ill taking them. I felt
Mm.
awful because it wasn't I wanted to be heart centered. I wanted it to be a growing with, not taking from. So I think when we can drop into the why of what we're doing, the craving, that we have this yearning, we wanting something. If we get specific, if we can let ourselves be with those feelings, that and kind of understand the direction we want to go, that lets us have clarity, and we're much more likely to steer in a direction that's aligned with ourselves. And I think that that's
Mhm.
very powerful because whenever I steer in a direction that's not aligned with who I am, I lose power really quickly. Like there's like I'm telling myself I want this, but I'm not doing it, and I get really frustrated, and there's like that spinning my wheels kind of feeling. It's like, ugh, what's going on? This doesn't feel good in my body. So when we get more clarity, when we can drop into the yearning and like, oh, I really want this, but I don't want lunch at many. I don't want to call up my friend and say, if you don't meet me for lunch, we're over. I'm never going to speak to you again to get that lunch. It's just not aligned with like consent or anything that I want to create. Um, so when we have clarity, we can steer a lot better, and we can listen. Like once we get some clarity, we can notice, oh, that feels a little off, let me drop in again, and oh, that doesn't feel quite right for this reason, I can steer in a different direction. Expressing that yearning and finding ways to grow into what we want to create is very valuable. And I think that some of us have been taught that we're selfish if we want things and go after them. And I'd love to do a little tapping on that because that's something, especially I think people that are socialized as women are kind of taught, no, 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 you don't go after the things you want. That's selfish. But it's really our life expression. And we do get to do that. I
Mhm.
was okay
We're
for
going to take a seven
oh,
minute break and we'll tap on the guilt, shame around wanting and yearning, having powerful yearnings,
come
particularly.
back.
Um, and while we're on the break, if it feels like a yes to you, what's a yearning that you might be a little uncomfortable having and holding, and why? Um,
We can do
if
more
if
tapping.
the rare person wants to share that in the chat, or all of you want to share it in the chat, but I just want to acknowledge that um, even in a workshop like this, if I landed on one that was real tender, I wouldn't put it in the chat. So please take care of yourself. And there's some that being witnessed in my yearning would be like, oh, I really want to share that in in the chat. We won't refer to you by name if we talk to it when we come
You can
back.
also message Rick or I privately, so it doesn't have to be in the public chat if you'd rather do that.
Mhm. Yeah. All right.
See
I'm
you
going to
Rick,
pause the
Althea.
recording. See you soon. Steph, welcome back. We've had some requests for tapping. So would you like to take that?
Sure.
We talked about tapping on guilt and shame
Mhm.
for having yearning as well.
Yeah. Well, I think the person asked, "It can we tap on?" It's hard for me to admit that I have needs and ask for them to be met, and I think that's one of the core things that can often happen is that we've been taught that having needs means we're selfish or that we're wrong. A lot of times, I think that comes from parents that are just overwhelmed. I watch Rick and Jem, who are amazing parents. Sometimes they're just like, "Oh my God, these kids want a lot of things." They're also very resourced and have each other and have, they have people that love them and support them. And so I can imagine that my mom often didn't have that support. She didn't have anyone else helping her. And so asking for one more thing, I got the signal often that I was too much. I wanted too much. I shouldn't do this because she didn't have the resources to meet the needs. So I think it's really a great thing to tap on. And I'd love each of you to tune into a time that you, if it feels okay for you, tune into a time when you felt like having needs felt like too much or you weren't supposed to have them. And then asking for, saying, "Hey, I would like you to help me meet this need." Or if when we were a kid, it was like mom or dad or some caregiver had to meet the need for us to get what was given because there weren't other conduits for anything. So just notice, and for me, there's often a feeling of shame around this. Like, I should have known that I wouldn't get it. I should have not asked for too much. I should have somehow intuited that my mom wasn't going to be able to meet that thing. And I don't think any of us could. We're little kids. And the decision that we were too much is often made when because we're as old as we've ever been when we encounter this situation. We don't put ourselves in context of, "Oh, I'm small and I'll be bigger and I'll have more experiences and options later." Our whole experience is, I'm much more competent than I was last week. I should be all together. So just see if you can tune into that, because when we can tune into it, especially in a space where we're together supporting each other, that can be really powerful. Karate chop. Even though they taught me that it's really bad to have needs,
Even though they taught me it's really bad to have needs,
much less expect them to be met.
much less expect them to be met. Oh,
Everyone has needs.
the truth is, everyone has needs.
Why am I different?
Why am I different?
Even though they did teach me it's wrong somehow.
Even though they did teach me it was wrong somehow.
Maybe it's more about where they were at than what my needs mean.
Maybe it's more about where they were at instead of what my needs mean.
Top of that, I think my needs mean I'm needy.
I think my needs mean I'm needy.
You're wrong.
Ew,
I'm too much.
I'm too much.
So who am I to think I'll get these needs met?
Who am I to think I'll get these needs met?
Why would they go out of their way to help me?
Why would they go out of their way to help me?
Under the nose, I didn't have a lot of options when I was younger.
I didn't have a lot of options when I was younger.
And now I have 7 billion.
Now I have 7 billion.
Collarbone, there's a lot of different ways to get my needs met.
There's so many ways to get my needs met.
Under there, what if I can have some compassion for that younger me?
I'm choosing to have compassion for that younger me.
Top of that, I have genuine desires.
I have genuine desires.
I wrote, some of them may not make a lot of sense to an adult.
Some of them may not make a sense to an adult
Side of the eye, or to anyone else.
or to anyone else.
Under the eye, but they're my unique expression.
They're my unique expression.
Under the nose, other people may not choose to help me with certain needs.
Some people may choose not to help me with certain needs.
Chin, but that doesn't mean my needs and wants are wrong.
It doesn't mean my needs are and wants are wrong.
Collarbone, I choose to honor my heart's desire
I choose to honor my heart's desires
under the arm and let go of some of that shame and blame.
and let go of some of that shame and blame.
Top of the head, it might be fine to want what I want,
It might be fine to want what I want
and even sometimes get it.
and even sometimes get it.
And take a nice deep breath. And I do think that sometimes also when we're kids, we want things that we don't realize that they're not achievable or reasonable. I was hanging out with Adira the other day and she was describing, she wanted the suitcase and she was trying to describe it. Had a table that folded up and I think it had plugins for the computer and everything. And she was telling her mama she wanted this. And it's like a $200 suitcase for a 4 and 3/4 year old. And her mama said, "No, I'm not going to get that for you." And she went in the other room and had a meltdown for about 20 minutes. And, Jim was like, wow, I'm not, I'm such a bad mother. I won't buy a $200 suitcase for my kid. It's like, it wasn't a reasonable request, but it's something she really wanted. She thought that would be a very cool experience. So her wanting it was not wrong. And her mama didn't shame her for that. But she's just like, no, I'm not gonna help you meet that need, honey. Um, so we may not, when we were learning this experience and this belief, we may have been asking for things that maybe just our parents didn't have the resources to do it, or they didn't want to deal with it, or it could have been, I'd like 5 ponies, please. Well, no, you're not going to get 5 ponies. We live in an apartment. So, but we still learn the message that we didn't, maybe we shouldn't have wanted it sometimes, even if we don't have the context when we're little to put it in that context or on the understanding.
The tapping that you just did feels like the kind of bedrock skill and tending that we need to do. It's valid to have needs. All humans have needs. Yeah, the way that other people have dealt with my needs when I was vulnerable, when I was young, when they were the conduit, um, really impacted me, and I'm shifting. I'm shifting that. That's the bedrock. That's a lot of the core work in emotional freedom work is to get to the place where, yeah, I have a need. You're not required to meet it because I'm an adult, but I have a need and I want to meet it. And I'm, I want to express things with agency to do that. There can be a yearning that is the fertile ground. For me, around needs, it's, you know, I yearn to live in a world where I'm clear on what the needs are for the people around me, and that there's a lot of generosity and allowance and tending to one another that creates this really beautiful ecosystem. But there's also freedom to say no. No, I'm not going to spend $200 on a suitcase right now. We just bought a suitcase, in fact. Um, and so the yearning is like, what am I wanting to craft? If you're a crafty person, like, what is it that I'm wanting to craft? I want to model that it's okay to express a need, to ask for it to be met in a certain way, um, to hear no and not melt down, or be like, yeah, it's disappointing. It's not going to happen that way. If I need to go off and tend to myself, like, you know, uh, whether a meltdown or however I just need to process my need not getting met. Um, but the yearning to me is a quality of thriving. We had survival needs if and there were rules and obligations that were part of survival. And survival is a bedrock. We couldn't be here if you didn't survive yesterday. We'd be planning your memorial, right? So the fact that you survived and got to this place where you've been able to tend to your yearnings and feel into them, I just want to acknowledge there are survival needs, there are needs for are more flourishing, right? And then there's a yearning, which can guide us to develop the skill of saying, "Hey, I feel this need," and you're not required to meet it, but if you're in a generous mood and could feel like you could take on dinner tonight, that would be amazing. No, you're not? Okay. That would have been nice, and I'm okay, right? Like the yearning can influence developing the skill of going through being awkward and misunderstood, maybe even from certain people shamed. Um, like, what are you doing? That's your job, whatever it is. Um, and even expressing like, yeah, I have a yearning for more resource, like resource abundance. Like, I want to live in a world where good people with generous hearts have ample resources. I don't, I believe in, I yearn for people who understand the freedom that comes with having good and sufficient resources for thriving, including the options of being able to share with others. I also have a yearning for more of us to accept that there's a lot of things broken around resource allocation, management, business, exchange of money. Money is kind of like um, it's got a lot of gooiness around it right now. And so I yearn for more acceptance. Well, if I yearn for people to accept that maybe they don't plug into the system for money as well as JoJo there, right? Um, that there's an acceptance that that's not an indicator that there's anything wrong with them. And when we can tap that, so the yearning has had like that yearning was around a lot of the tapping that Kathy and I have done over the years around money. The yearning is around the gliding scale that I offer for my private coaching. It's like, oh, you know, I've been where I had two nickels to rub together, but I didn't have two dimes. Um, and I've been in a place where, yeah, I could I could pay the top of my scale. But the yearning can help ground us into what is thriving. If if I want to model thriving, I model that needs are sometimes difficult to live with. Sometimes they're not going to get met, and that we hold space for that. That's part of our space with our loved ones is that their resources are not unlimited, even
Like,
love.
I noticed that for myself.
Coming from Rick.
Well, yeah, and I also noticed that with my own self-care. Like there's part of me that like I'd love to stay up and get more done, but that's not a lot like that's not a balanced way to like I do need some sleep. I have yearnings for different things and having to like figure out a balance of them across my life and balancing them with my core needs is really valuable. And I think that when we treat yearning as something that we don't deal with very often, we either let it get like kind of toxic into compulsion or we go into shutdown. There's when we feel that yearning, it can feel we don't know how to balance it. We're kind of it's like, oh my goodness, a strong feeling. I must either comply or be restrictive to myself versus like, oh, okay, I'd love that whole cake, but maybe I can have a piece of that cake instead. Or, you know, like I can stay up a half hour late to finish this project, but I don't necessarily have to stay up all night working on it. So like we can notice the yearning and also temper our actions better when we're actually being with them and we understand the underlying want around what is it that we really want to experience that gives us a lot of power. When we're just on the forefront of if I feel this wanting, we're really driven by the wanting versus, oh, what is this experience? What do I actually want to get from this? We have a lot more ability to drive the car and steer it in different ways we can get it. And it's like, oh, I could get it one of five ways. two of which are really bad for me, and one is not very logical financially. Well, which of these two do I want to, the remaining two do I want to choose? It can help us make decisions too, and we're kind of dropping a little deeper into it. But we can only do that if we're willing to tolerate the feelings of yearning and disappointment. And those, I know it's really hard to say. It's easy to say that to someone, and I promise that if we can just be with it mindfully for even just a couple seconds, and the next time it might be a few more seconds, and then it's like, oh, I can be with this for 20 minutes, and I'm sort of surviving. Our system very quickly builds up tolerance for strong emotions. But if we're always avoiding them, we're never building up the muscle to be with them. We're never learning that we can actually, our nervous system is always acting as if we're going to get electric shock if we feel that thing. Probably because when we were little, it felt like it. Like, I still remember watching one of my nieces cry over not getting a pony when she was 3. Like, there was no concept of them getting a pony, but she thought she was going to get a pony. And no one had told her she was getting a pony, but somehow she thought that Santa was going to bring her one. No pony, and devastation. Like, kids want things so hard, and they don't have the experience of knowing, well, I can't have this right now, but I might have something different or better. So they just don't have the experience for it. So many of us learned that that electric shock, that horrible feeling of disappointment, is like devastating when we were little, and it felt devastating, and no one was there to say, hey, you're still okay, I love you, it's going to be okay. I still remember my dad saying, I'll give you something to cry about when I was disappointed, and he would spank me really hard so I would cry. And so I learned not to express my disappointment very well. um, and it's just part of, different people parent different ways, and it was a different time.
Mhm. You said that skill of and practice of being with the uncomfortable feelings. Um, I would never suggest that someone just stay with uncomfortable feelings, hurtful feelings that didn't have some intelligence there. So I want to acknowledge that, as you said, it's hard to tell someone who isn't developmentally, whether they're 4 3/4 or 43 3/4, and they're not developmentally in a place, with their awareness of their emotions and how they energy moves in their body. Um, I just come to know and witness with thousands of people at this point that if we can be with the disappointment, tap, 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 even though I'm grotesquely disappointed, what I ask for is clarity about what I really want. What is it that I truly want here? Or even truly need, if it's got that edge of survival to it. And I think we can feel like if the primitive brain is speaking up, it's picking up something that's survival oriented. It can be like, even though I feel like I have a knife at my throat and I want to be doing this, what's up with that? What am I yearning for? Oh, I'm yearning for the energy. And my body knows that if there was a knife at my throat, guess what? I'd do it. I've got a yearning for balance and it's not here right now. Oh, don't know when it'll come, if ever. And I really truly I yearn to be with the things that I'm doing in a way that nourishes me, reminds me of my yearning, my heart's desire, how important these experiences are to me. Um, you know, my we went for a hike today as a family. Adira and I did the short version so that um, the boy and mama could do the long loop. That was a negotiation with lots of disappointment. Wow. And it was cutting through it like, what do I yearn for? Well, I do yearn for our family to be able to hike together. And when I, because that is an expression of connection and nature and exploration and so many things that are right for me. And it was when that came to me that I was like, I'm being a hard ass. Um, Adira and I were supposed to stay home. They were supposed to go on their own. But when I really felt for what the deeper yearning was, it was like, hey, how about we take two cars and Adira and I do the half loop to build up her stamina, and mine, and then we'll go home, and you guys can do the full loop. And that landed, and it was great. It really was. It was a yearning met. If I had not gone deeper and felt for what is a micro expression, and what I mean by that is what Kathy and I have been talking about, like baby steps. A micro expression of a yearning is what is the smallest expression of that I can imagine right now and tune myself to. If I'm like, guess what? I'm in my primitive brain. You would tell me, hey, Rick, you're in your primitive brain. Have you like forgotten about tapping? No, no, no. Right? Like, hey, there would be opportunities. And if you were an observer of my life to yak yak at me, like, I, but I'm sharing that in the dynamic that was unfolding with disappointment and tears and clinging and I don't want to and I want to and blah 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 by one person, me in this case, and Mama was doing this too, not like we didn't talk about it, but I could tell what she yearned for was ease and love and comfort and a lot of other things. But by me feeling into, well, what do I actually yearn for? There was a confluence of my yearnings that came together in an offering, a micro offering that actually was a yes for the family. Happened again around early dinner, right? There was just a lot of confusion. Some people hungry, some people not. We have a workshop right during what our normal dinner time is. And when I went back to the yearning, the micro step was, yeah, I'll make a sandwich for Adira and I'll make the salmon for the family. And I and that feels good to me. Is that good for everybody else? Yeah, we can do that. And yearning to nourish and um to take care of that. I didn't go all the way to joy. I'll just tell you. There was a lot of like, okay, this is what we're going to do at that point. But the inspired actions, guess what? There's an interesting quality of yearning. You can go backward in time and explain a lot about yourself if you go like deeper. What was what was I yearning for in that moment? And to me, or what was I yearning for that I was acting from, that I did this thing? I'm noticing in my nightly gratitude work that if I'm if I'm tuning to what my actions during the day, what my yearning was, even when I'm imperfect, which is every action, um, there's a beauty to it. There's a poetic aspect of it. Like right now, I'm really feeling like, I I made my family dinner. I took the time to do that. It was delicious. Simple. I'm a simpleton chef, but it was delicious,
Very good cook.
you know? And Adira got what she wanted. She wanted a ham sandwich.
She loves ham sandwiches.
She loves ham sandwiches. She did not want the carrots. Carrots looked perfect. The little baby petite carrots looked perfect next to the ham sandwich, even if it wasn't eaten. And you see, like, there's a yearning in me to nourish my family with the energy, with love that I mix in. Um, and I can go back and harvest that, even though if in the moment of all that unfolding, I was probably tense at a 6, 7. It's hard for me to feel, oh, look at me. I'm doing this beautiful thing that matters to me in the moment when I'm tense at a 6, 7, just to get it done, get a shower, come here, be present. Um, but you can harvest. Yearning is a doorway to harvesting your life in meaningful ways. And that it cuts through some of the tension that was there at the time, if you let it, to land on, yeah, my past self was showing up around things that really matter.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about them.
Just to kind of extend what you said, like sometimes things don't look the way we need them to or want them to. Like even if we go to the deeper, like you tried to tend people, you like them to enjoy what you made, and sometimes things just don't work out. And I think that if we can give ourselves space to grieve the times we really needed or wanted something and we didn't get it, especially like a lot of us have very early childhood memories, but even as an adult, like during COVID, I really longed for connection and there was just not a way to make it at times. Like I didn't see Rick and the kids for 2 years because of COVID. We thought on Zoom and stuff we couldn't get together. So I think it's important to include in this space to tap on the grief, to acknowledge the sadness and the feelings that come up of our survival brains. Like I did genuinely need more physical contact with people than I got. My system was craving it, and there just wasn't a way to. California stayed shut down way longer than a lot of places, and it just wasn't a way to do it. So we're talking a lot about if you go deeper into the experience, sometimes you can create something that will be a really great alternative to what we think we want. But there's also times we just don't get it. And we're here. We're still here. We're still alive. We made it through. And I think when we grieve, we kind of iron out that big wrinkle that could be in the way of us yearning for other things and really being with, like, what do I want this to be? So I invite you, if like, maybe write a list of the top 3 things that you're really disappointed about and do a little tapping on that, or bring it to one of Rick's circle calls or team calls and do tapping on it, or go to Gus and ask for some tapping on that, because it can really help you release some of the stuck feelings that might be there for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And this is a deep, tough
So,
subject, so I really appreciate everyone who's hung through and done some tapping and looked at themselves on this. It's not a simple thing.
mhm. Yeah, I yearn for a world where our yearnings find connection, people that share that, people that can support, um, help us cultivate it in community and in circle and kinship. Um, as you were talking about COVID, I remember the longing, and I remember that in retrospect, I can see it as a yearning. Like I had such a yearning for Kathy to be a family member, and here we had Adira being born, and we couldn't really get together. And so the conversations we had, we changed the photos on the photo frame, to have more Kathy pictures so that another family, but, more Kathy pictures. And we started sharing photos in a way that still continues. And of all the people in my world, there's a Kathy, me, and Jem uh, chat. And I have a yearning for kinship that isn't, I if I was focused on blood relatives providing that, I'd be pretty, you know, pointed and grieving, to be frank. But because I have that yearning, I do put a lot of inspired action. And Jem has a yearning, and Kathy have a yearning. The yearning for kinship is is met, and we kept that going until
Invest in it.
right. And now, we spent time in July, we spent time in August. We've already got January on the schedule, um, and we'll see. But it's not the same as a zip line. Like
No,
I can see
the
the house,
the
right?
house right down the house.
Little trimming of the trees, zip line right from my office,
Next
right?
time a deer
We
pup
could
throws
have
a
our
temper tantrum, they
we
just
could, we
sit
could have
right
our post work like time to zip line academy. Short delivery system. So anyway, thank you all. This continues the skills. Our next one is tolerating joy. It's been on the calendar for next Sunday, but we're going to move that, and we're going to see when that's going to be. But um, yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback. And like I said, there's an AI version of me. I fondly call him Gus, so I don't confuse myself. And thrivingnow.com/Gus if you want to explore it. It has been fed with so much of what we've done together, and you might even notice it. And you'll notice places where, like, my general thing is I talk to this tool every day, and my goal is that in that experience, there's something that comes back that says, "Wow, that's really good." And I recognize the energetic print of so many of you in what you've evoked today during the workshop by your presence, by your comments, by the people you are and who you are in the world and your yearnings. I feel a resonance with the yearnings, and that comes out in what Kathy and I have done over the years and will continue. So
You
thank you,
all.
Kathy. Till next time, bye.